Thank you to everyone that joined us. Sierra, you're getting some love in the chat, I see.
I see. Hi, Miss Fab.
Let me see. Okay, well, I'm going to get things started. So welcome to Therapy Thursdays, our first iteration of Therapy Thursdays. I'm so happy that you guys were able to join. I think that I'm a bit older, well, a little bit older, not by much, but I think that I'll be able to learn a lot from you guys. I think that everybody watching will be able to learn a lot from you guys, and we'll have a really honest conversation about therapy, which is, a really important part of Therapy Thursdays, but especially this first one. So to give our people watching some background, my name is Trudy. I'm based in LA. Oh, I've known Jane for our founder of UHMP, Jane O'Donnell. I've known her for, I think, 5, maybe 6 years. I met her probably when I was like y'all's age, actually. I was a senior in college. And she started UHMP, which is a super, super important organization that really gives students the ability to tell health stories about health that affects their communities. And I think that if I'm thinking back to when I was a journalism student, this is a program that I would 150% been a part of. So if you want to learn more, certainly follow this page, check out our website, check out the stories that our students have written. But I don't think that you'll learn as much from me as you will these lovely people that are joining me today, who are alum and interns of the program. So without further ado, I'm handing it off to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jada Johnson. I am 19 years old. I am a freshman at Baltimore City Community College, and I am one of the interns on the Urban Health Media Project. And I wrote in a few pieces, one interviewing Brandon Scott, which is the mayor of Baltimore City, Maryland, and this was published on USA Today. I also wrote a piece about Corona and how it affected me, so yeah.
Hello everybody, my name is Jojo Brew. I'm currently in the 12th grade. I also work for Urban Health Media Project. I'm a photographer and videographer for the Urban Health Media Project, and I love them.
Oh. See, are you there? Oh, she might have froze. I'm not sure. Let me see.
Hello. Sorry, I got kicked off there for a second. But I'm Sierra Luter. I'm with the program. I've been with the project, like many, since the beginning for about 4 years. So I started as a junior in high school. So I have always had a love for words. And then I transferred into falling in love with film, which led me to NYU, where I'm now a junior in their film program. So I do film, I write, I'm very creative, I like to do art. And I'm very passionate, though, of course, about what we're going to talk about tonight, which I have done a couple of things with the project regarding to mental health that has led me to speak on Capitol Hill, as well as write many articles in USA Today. So I'm excited for the conversation.
Y'all are so accomplished. I'm so proud. So this is Therapy Thursdays. So something that, is really, really important to UHMP is destigmatizing, therapy. I think it's something that all of us come from, diverse backgrounds and, have really unique identities that are intrinsically affected by therapy and kind of our relationship with it. A lot of it is, a nature versus nurture conversation. But I think something that we're really interested in doing over the course of this month, which of course is Mental Health Awareness Month, is destigmatizing it. But I think in order to do that, we have to have a really honest conversation about therapy. And so, like I said in the beginning, I'm a little bit older than y'all, not by much, but I think something that's so cool about your generation as like Gen Zers is how open you guys are about discussing therapy. And I think that everyone can honestly learn a lot from y'all. So I'm really excited to kind of sit back and give you guys, the keys to the car and drive this conversation. So kick it off.
I definitely think, yes, this is going to be a great conversation. I'm really excited for each and every Thursday that we have this month that we're doing this at 6:30. For tonight, I know Jade and JoJo, you guys both have different things that you would like to talk about or discuss further. But I think a main thing that, if we're talking about mental health, when we're talking about younger people and college age students or, young adults, something that has recently been going on because of COVID, there's been increased depression and anxiety. And when I thought about mental health or just how to steer the conversation for tonight, it's such a broad topic. Like I said, I've dabbled in a lot. My mother's also a psychologist, so mental health has really been a big portion of my upbringing. But I definitely think focusing on depression and anxiety, and maybe if you two could just talk a bit about your experiences with it, maybe some things that you've tackled, and we can just go from there. So let's go first. Maybe JoJo.
JoJo, we can't hear you.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's you gotta because I had to do it too. Your phone sits on the speaker, so you kind of have to elevate it.
Okay. The first time I got therapy, I was in the 11th grade. I was scared. I felt uncomfortable talking to my mom at home about my feelings. I felt like she didn't understand all the time, and she kind of just sometimes she put stuff aside. But I decided to get a therapist, and I decided to talk about it. And at first, I really didn't like it. As I said, I felt really uncomfortable. I was I couldn't believe how easy it was to tell a stranger your own feelings versus someone your own family member. But when you just start talking about your feelings, even if you don't open up to them a lot, just opening up to them is just the first step, because then you start to get comfortable. And sometimes I feel like you don't always have to do every single thing that your therapist say, but sometimes they can give really good advice. I'm sorry, someone just knocked on my door.
Jada, do you have anything you want to add? I think that's true, JoJo. I'm sorry to cut you off. I know some just have to off, but I would say that it's true. With therapy, it can seem scary to talk at first, and it can be scary to talk to a stranger and talk to someone. I know me personally, I just had my first session, I think 3 weeks ago, and it was online, so that already was a bit weird, and it already, I was struggling with that disconnect, but still just taking that time just to talk to someone and talk to someone outside of my family and just have that unbiased opinion, it did make a difference. I will definitely say that. And I mean, I won't go into it too much, but I definitely think that, younger people, we are searching, for mental health, but making sure that we're searching for it in the right, ways and the right avenues, making sure that you're getting it the right way, because there's a lot of information on social media nowadays, but oftentimes that information may not be the best information or may not really be helping us, or making sure that you're really vetting that. And one of the best ways to vet that is by going to a professional or coming back every Thursday or following the Urban Health Media Project and getting the right information and making sure you're getting it. I think that's one thing I had a struggle with was I used social media to try to cure myself, but I wasn't going to the right avenues at first. So that definitely did block some paths in my journey. But Jada, if you would like to go and say some things, maybe about your experience, what you've struggled with, maybe what you've overcame, your experience with therapy.
Yeah. So I had a therapist once before, and it was good because she was African American and she was young, so it was easy for us to connect. I think a disclaimer for me is that a lot of people say it's hard for them to open up to a therapist or someone they don't know, but I find it a lot easier to open up to them because it's they don't have no biasness towards who I actually am, because you don't really know but what I tell you, and you don't have to interact with me on a day-to-day basis. You don't know some of the stuff that I might do that you my mannerisms and stuff, so it'd be easier for me to explain to you stuff because you only hearing one person's opinion or one person's side. So though it might have create a biasness on your part because you only hear my side, it also helps me get outside information from okay, well, I don't know who this person is. And, I'm still learning you. So I would say that for the best of both, you could do this, this, and this. I eventually got a new therapist, not because there was anything wrong with my first one, but because I had a change in healthcare systems or healthcare, coverage. And now me and my new therapist, we don't talk as much. So it's not really effective, not really as effective as it should be. And I plan on changing that soon, I guess. But having a therapist isn't bad. It's easier to talk to someone who isn't in your family because it's like, well, you know, you don't really understand like all of the stuff that happened behind what we talk about. So when I'm telling you this stuff, it's like I done already got upset. I done already overreacted if I did or whatever, however I reacted. So when I can come to you and tell you how I feel, I'm more clear-headed in the situation of what was going on. So you can help me think through it better.
That makes sense.
Something I think is really interesting about this conversation is that, all of you guys, your parents are aware that you guys are like seeking therapy. So I know that there's a lot of people and there's a stigma, especially in the Black community, about therapy and about getting it and just, the whole, I don't need a therapist. Why would I pay somebody to tell them my problems? How did you guys navigate having that conversation with your parents? And especially because a lot of that sort of thought comes from an older generation. And like I said earlier, like Gen Z is very much, advocating for mental health, advocating for self-care. What was it like for you guys navigating the conversation with your parents about therapy?
Well, for my mother, the first time I got a therapist, she didn't really have a choice. It was kind of part of like an issue that me and her had. And the second time, well, which is now, she doesn't really control anything. So if I feel like I got to talk to somebody, then that's what I'm going to do.
Would you say, Jada, like you mentioned how this therapist that you have now, and I would just say for me personally, I grew with my mother as a therapist, so therapy was always just, it was just a given. And so I was very fortunate to like not grow up in a household where that was a stigma or where I would always, like, if I ever asked for help, I could always get it. But I would ask you, Jada, really quick. You did mention how your therapist has changed, or your relationship has changed with your therapist. Do you notice a difference, like in your day to days, or do you feel like between all the therapy you have had, you have the tools, or is there I don't know, or are you finding that you're having to cope more with yourself?
I would say that with my new therapist, I don't know. She's kind of more like a mom than somebody that I just get advice from and talk to about my problems now. So I guess right now, I guess I would say I'm self-coping, but at the same time, I can't say that because I don't really know what I'm coping with. Like, I haven't been able to identify all of my triggers to know why do I get upset when this happens, or why does stuff make me feel some type of way, or I haven't really been able to analyze the problems that I may be having. So I wouldn't really be able to analyze if I'm self-coping too much, but for the most part, sometimes like when I get upset, I could calm myself down. With my therapist before, at the time I was in like 11th grade, so for her to be younger, it was kind of easier because she was still like, she just got out of college. She was literally just in high school, so explaining to her my high school problems was easy. Also because she was closer to my age. At the time I was like 16, she was like, I think like 23, 24, 25, something around that age. So it was easy for me to explain stuff to her. When we talked about prom, she would get as giddy as me. So it kind of kept my emotions on the same like level. And she was so like, I don't want to say pressed, but I guess that's a good word. So pressed for me to make progress and to change that it was like, I want to see you do better, so I'm going to do better with you. Stuff like that.
Now that makes sense. And then you mentioned that you self-cope, like, or that you do your own type of, I don't know, meditation. Do you journal? Like, what do you do if you are feeling stressed to make sure? Because one thing I will say that has helped me identify triggers or identify patterns is my journal. Like, I went back and saw a journal entry from 2 years ago, and I was talking about social media, and I was like, wow, I am still on social media all the time, and that was enough to make me delete it. So I will say that, at least for me, I can just share that journaling has helped me, but I'm curious about, if you or JoJo, like, if you guys have some different things that you guys do to help, cope. If you can't get to a therapist, what do you do?
LOL, don't laugh at me, but like when I'm extremely stressed, I do nothing. When I'm sad,
Nope, I'm not laughing because I did nothing on Sunday and it was the best experience of my life.
Not like do nothing, like nothing at all, not like that. Like when I'm going through hard, troubling times, I just let it continue. When I'm upset, I just let it blow over, continue to do what it does. I just let it take its trip and just go with the flow, honestly. And that might seem crazy, but I hate like being sick. Like when I feel sick, I hate it. I hate being sick. I hate, being nauseated, I hate vomiting, all of that stuff. So it's kind of like, that's kind of how I handle my emotions. Like whatever it's going to do is going to do. I'm just going, go with the flow, roll with the punches. But that might not work for everyone. So I would say like self-care. That doesn't have to be like showering and buying stuff all the time. I watched Girlfriends. Like, I don't know, that show, it kind of I'm young. That is like one of my favorite shows, and it kind of like got me through a lot of stuff because it's like, okay, well they're going near 40. If they going through it too, this ain't going to stop.
Yeah.
I love that you watch Girlfriends. That's I love that.
My show like that
like,
was Insecure.
I also watch Half and Half, which is like the sisters or whatever, and it's just like these people come from two different worlds and they're still able to connect. And a lot of people would be like, yo, you can't grasp real world like, problems, issues, concerns, and stuff like that from TV. And I'm like, if you couldn't, they wouldn't write it. Like, what's the point of the TV show? Like, I'm not understanding. So a lot of people always think I'm crazy when I say, like, when I look at a TV show and when I watch like a sitcom or a comedy show, whatever, I actually look into what it's talking about because I like production and stuff. Like writing a show, I had some crazy like sleep dreams, and I think they would be good shows. So like watching TV kind of helped me. Like it took me to a different realm. I also like to read books. And I'm really big on self-care. If you ask my friends, I take 2 showers a day, both 20 minutes apiece, in hot water. It just relaxes me. Like it refreshes me. It keeps me on the go.
Well, no, I don't want to cut you off. I don't want to cut you off because you gave the whole list, and I love the list so much because I'm making a mental note right now because I need all of that. Because one thing I will say, and I saw we got a question up here a bit earlier talking about the past year and affecting our mental health, and has it affected people in anxiety? And I will just say, I think in general it has affected everyone. Everyone's been affected in a way at the point that your whole life does a 180. No, we can't expect these changes, and of course, you both. I do want you both to elaborate, but one thing I will make a comment on, Jada, that I saw that you're talking about and something that I recently have delved into is mindfulness and meditation. And everything that you're talking about, going with the flow, that's just being mindful. That's just being in the moment. When you're watching your show, you're watching Girlfriends, you're saying, I'm watching Girlfriends, and I'm really going to pay attention to everything that's happening and every little thing. And through that, you fall in love with production and film. And so for me, that's one way that I have definitely, coped or really work through my anxiety because I have struggled with anxiety. So just being mindful and staying in the moment can definitely help you be able to go with the flow when life gets hard and go with the flow, when things get tough, just breathe it off. And then JoJo, or I don't know, JoJo's still connecting, or Jada, do you guys have any questions for our therapist for next week, for when a therapist does come, or any questions that you might have asked your therapist, or I know you have a therapist right now, Jada, but if you have any questions like that you just think everyone else should ask, or just a common question you might ask in therapy, if you could share that.
I usually ask, like, what's the end goal? Like, what am I supposed to gain from this session or this therapy connection or whatever you want to call it? I also like to ask, like, okay, so what problems do you believe that I have, and how can I better assist myself? Because it's not always all about the therapist. You also have to be able to, handle your own self, accordingly, because you only going to be with you for the rest of your life. Like, there's nobody else who will come in and be like, all right, Jada, I'm going to take over for you. Go take a nap, take a break, come back in a couple years, and I'm going to work on it. No, that's not how it goes. So how can I help myself grow as well as you help me? Because it can't just be on them. Because after a while, if you continue to allow your behavior or your decisions create this person you don't want to be because you're not taking therapy seriously, or you're not using what they tell you every day, it becomes pointless to even go to therapy. You got to also be able to change your behavior, your mindset, your decisions, stuff like that.
No, that's true. That's very true. It's definitely about putting in the work. And I mean, for me also, I say me a lot because one thing I will say is I've been every person and I've experienced almost a lot of emotions. So like everyone, but one thing I definitely struggle with is procrastination, or, you say you're going to do something, but it's about actually making that shift. And, that does come over time through working through yourself, through mindfulness, right? Through actually, making a decision to make, to see the world different, to, take that first step forward. So that's true. I know it looks like JoJo got kicked off. So hopefully she can get back on. But I know our conversation has I know our conversation has really shifted to like mindfulness or, just to like self-care, what you do to cope, which I do think is helpful because a lot of people are finding ways, or I think we all have found our own creative ways to cope within the past year. Oh, that's a good question. Ms. Stabex, how do you find the right therapist for you? Um, I'd say, I mean, Jada, you kind of already answered it a bit about it, but definitely just, whichever person, for me at least, I go with someone that I feel like a good vibe with, I feel a good flow with, I can communicate with them well. But maybe you guys can also share what you do. But for me, I definitely just go in the moment. I'm a very feeling person. If I just feel someone has good energy, I'll go towards them.
I would say like it's really like a trial and error type thing. Like you never gonna know until you try. So you could be with one therapist and not like it as much. You could be with another therapist and like it more. You could be with another therapist and don't connect at all in general. And then you could be with another one, it could be like half and half. Sometimes we connect, sometimes we don't. And I'm not saying that your therapist gotta agree with you all the time because nobody agrees with anybody 100%. That's not how it works. But like you can like, just try and error it out.
Absolutely.
Jojo, do you want to share anything?
You said a question earlier about like what are some ways you can distract yourself?
We can't hear
Yeah.
you.
Can you guys hear now?
Yeah, we can hear now. But yeah, the question is just about, just ways to just, because a lot of people can't get to a therapist right now. And I know next week we will luckily have a therapist on to answer some questions for people who can't get to therapy, but ways to self-cope. Everyone has, I think, developed their own personal self-care ways within this last year of spending extra time with themselves. So just to share everyone's, individual ways that they can cope when times get hard, or that they can calm themselves down, or ways that, they can work on their anxiety by themselves, or through themselves, and try to be their own healers.
There's an organization called Smile that's actually very helpful. It gives like kids that like are 13 through like 15 or 16. It gives like kids and other people who can't get therapy or like can't pay for it or their parents don't want to. So that's definitely a good organization, LGBTQ friendly, very LGBTQ friendly. Some ways I usually cope is like I like to go out sometimes and just try to have fun by myself. Sometimes I think it's important to teach yourself how to have fun by yourself because it's just like when you live with yourself, then what? Or like if you just don't know how to make the best moment like for yourself, then it's kind of like you turn everything so negative. It's just like when you don't have anybody around you. So, like do different stuff, like try new food or like go to a new restaurant or something. Another thing that definitely helped me overcome my depression and anxiety was like photography. It just really changed that aspect. What I want to do in college, and it just helped me find my way, and I'm really grateful for that. So, just like trying random new hobbies may help you. You may fall in love with that subject. So, I didn't have a difficulty finding trans-friendly therapists. So I have this therapist named Dr. Cole, and he works closely like with trans therapists. I have to say, like, if you live in DC, like, their therapists, like, a lot of them are like pretty trans friendly, especially if you go through like Children's Hospital. I have to say, for the most part, their staff is like pretty amazing, like with respecting your pronouns, and like they have like this whole database of like you're going to therapy through them, and then you go to the hospital, like they'll have notes for other doctors about what's your preferred name and like what's your preferred pronouns and things of that nature. So that definitely is very helpful. My experience was very clean and pure with my therapist. He respected me for me, and he was helping me like get on testosterone and just start my journey. So
No, that's good. Thank you so much for sharing that, JoJo. I know we're getting towards an end here. I will just say one thing for me, just to add on to what everyone else said with their personal experiences. I know I definitely struggle with loneliness. I know there are a lot of people out there probably struggling with being alone right now because of COVID, because, just being put away and being at home. And I had my bout of loneliness when I started college at first and going off to NYU. And I think one thing, just adding on to what you said, JoJo, was just making sure you're spending time with yourself and being happy with yourself. And if you had a phone addiction like me, and I'm okay to say it because I'm getting over it, put down your phone, meditate, look up what's going on, go with the flow of life. And definitely, if you can't get to a therapist, or if you could, that's amazing to talk to someone, but making sure that you are taking care of yourself, you are journaling, you are trying just, little things that you can do each day to make yourself feel better, and realizing that it's all a part of a journey. Don't beat yourself up. I know I beat myself up a lot throughout, working through my anxiety, working through my emotions, working through my things. So just making sure that you're kind with yourself, you're okay with yourself. You know that everyone's going through it. One thing that helped me, I said, well, I look around and everyone else seems to be a bit of out of control. So I guess it's okay if I am too right now in this moment, in this time. And, just reminding that you're just a human and you're okay. So hopefully everyone joins back next Thursday, for our therapist to come, and you continue to come back to this page, because I know we've already advocated for the Urban Health Media Project a lot, but I definitely will say that for young people, and if you're really looking to truly to be a self-healer and to help yourself, and oftentimes we're not in situations in which we can go to a therapist, or we have people around who can support us, so we have to be our own support. So making sure you're getting that right information, and that information is here, right? It's okay to not be okay, right? And that right information is here, making sure you're going to the right resources, which we'll provide. So definitely using the project and the page as a resource. It can be very helpful for your journey.
Well, this was great. I learned so much from all of you. And again, I think talking about your personal experiences is always a little nerve-wracking. So I really applaud everyone for opening up and sharing those intimate moments, because therapy is something that's super personal. So I applaud you guys for taking the time to share your journey, in hopes to encourage other people to do the same. So with that being said, we'll be back next Thursday and every Thursday this month with a different theme. Next week, we have a really great therapist coming. I know that there was a lot of LGBTQ plus questions and comments. Luckily, she's somebody that identifies that way, and she also is someone that is super, super knowledgeable and super, super amazing. So I'm really, really excited for you guys to meet her. Something that I do want to say is that none of us sitting on this live right now are therapists or licensed therapists ourselves, but we are advocating that everyone does check in with someone, because everyone needs to talk to somebody. So thank you for joining. Thank you to UHMP. And again, if you want to learn more about us, obviously check out our Instagram page, check out our website. Website is in our bio. And then also reach out to these great people that were on the live now. All alums of the program, everyone has gone on to do amazing things and are still involved, on a grassroots level, which just speaks to the impactfulness of the program as a whole. So thank you to everyone for joining, and we will see you next week.
See you guys next week.
Bye, y'all.